big loop.
Okay, we'll call Anatoly on the big loop, and I'd also like to report 2 bottles of water consumed from location 9, bag 204.
So actually they have to, as you can see, they have to report everything.
Location 9,
Otherwise
bag 204,
like, no,
and to
no,
confirm
no,
that
they
was for
can't
the
go.
waste system flush.
That's one thing which we can do.
1 for the waste system.
Now you are seeing the hatch taking place.
Chris Cassidy, removing that target from the APAS hatch docking interface.
Dragon, comm check on the big loop for Anatoly from Endeavour.
So basically now what they are doing is they are just removing all those equipments which is needed to
Dragon FM, voice check.
for the crew to safely come out.
Counting 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5.
Anatoly, Endeavour has you loud and clear. How copy?
Copy system. They have you loud and clear.
Good to hear your voice.
Dragon FM, how to read me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. See you soon. Turning over to Houston.
The hatch is being opened and will soon be opened in
And all
some...
players from Houston, that completes the comm checks. Thank you.
Okay. So now you'll see them coming out. The first is open and the second will be open right now.
This is Mission Control Houston. Those comm checks within the International Space Station between the Dragon crew, Chris Cassidy, and on the other side of the International Space Station, the Russian segment, Russian cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin completing those voice checks. You can see Cassidy continuing to outfit the hatch, just clearing the space and providing some padding and removing that docking target from the APAS hatch.
It is needed because otherwise those two,
Dragon, go ahead.
Dragon and that will collide with each
So
other.
I copy that the waste system flush is in work, and 2 more bags were consumed from location 9, bag 204, and that includes the water used for the waste system flush. Is that all correct?
From bag 204, one of which Bob is in the process of consuming, and the other will be for the waste flush. That is correct.
Perfect. Thanks for clarifying. And secondly, do we have your permission to come back on board with video?
Negative. We're going to need about 2 minutes. We're just wrapping up ops here right now.
Copy. 2 more minutes. We will await your confirmation.
Thank you.
Still getting views from the infrared camera that's located right at the center of the Dragon hatch, looking at Chris Cassidy, International Space Station Commander, outfitting that hatch, getting ready for Bob and Doug to arrive. You're hearing communications over Dragon to ground. That was Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley on the other side of that hatch, inside the crew Dragon vehicle, finishing up their operations on the inside for that hatch opening, expected in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Actually, so guys, here we are actually docking with we are docked with the space station, and we just need to confirm
again,
that
it's been a process to get to this point.
pressurization and
Just
all
about
the paddings.
2.5 hours ago, docking to the International Space Station was Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley aboard the first commercial American vehicle to dock
So guys,
to
as
the
you can
International
see
Space Station
now,
with crew aboard.
this is the view from the ISS mainly. The crew is
Again, we're expecting about 10 to 15 minutes
doing some
to open up
padding.
that hatch. One more hatch separating Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley from the inside of the International Space
There are two
Station.
hatches
Still
we've got.
looking at Cassidy
One
doing some
from
of the
the
prep work
ISS
for that
and the
hatch.
other
We'll get some
from
great
the
views that
Dragon.
Cassidy set up over the past few hours to capture this historic moment today. Be sure to stay tuned in at 12:15 p.m. Central Time, 1:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll start a welcome ceremony officially welcoming Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley aboard the International Space Station to join the Expedition 63 crew.
We'll be able to see that too. So right now, both the crews from the the Dragon, Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley is getting
SpaceX Dragon on Dragon to ground.
ready for
Go ahead.
hatch opening.
Anna, you're clear to come on board.
Copy, clear to come on board, and thanks for your patience with the comm. We are in an orientation that's creating some blockage to receive your comm on Dragon ground.
Yeah, we figured that was it. No problem. That's part of the deal.
Okay, no problem with that.
Chris Cassidy giving a wave, eagerly awaiting Bob and Doug to come aboard. Just behind him, you see Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner, Russian cosmonauts of Expedition 63, standing by. We'll be able to come aboard Dragon here in a sec, get some views from the crew Dragon. We're in a short handover of those communications from the International Space Station. Video and audio should be regaining them momentarily.
No problem with that, because those blackouts are basically expected to happen. So here we have them, no, not them, but the ISS astronauts, as you can see from the picture itself. So yeah, that is one thing.
Anatoly Ivanishin in the foreground there. Chris Cassidy continuing the prep work for opening up the hatch there. Again, the pressurized mating adapter hatch you see there in the foreground is open. The APAS hatch to the International Docking Adapter is open. Just one more, and that's the hatch of Dragon, the Crew Dragon vehicle.
So one more thing, and then that's the hatch basically. So only 5 or 10 minutes are remaining, and those both hatches will get opened, and we'll have finally officially these two crew members from the America will arrive at ISS. So that's one thing which will happen today in just 5 to 10 minutes from now. What they are just making all their way to the ISS from Florida, and now they traveled for 19 hours, and now they are so near in getting to the ISS. So that's so cool, right?
Space to ground 2 station is ready for Dragon hatch equalization.
Yes, so final checks are being performed.
Dragon call ready when you're able.
So cool in space. So the US flag which you are seeing right now above that, basically that was the one which people left in from the last space shuttle mission.
Houston Dragon, go ahead.
So as to take it right now with them.
And Dragon Houston, just looking to confirm that you're ready for hatch equalization.
We are ready as long as SpaceX is ready.
Okay, station and Endeavour, stand by for equalization. We're putting it in work. Expected equalization time 4 minutes.
Okay, so in 4 minutes we'll be able to see them exactly.
Station copies.
Endeavour copies.
So now these people, the final checks are being performed. I would say this only. Pressure equalization, which is very necessary. Otherwise, if that is not done properly, then either in the Crew Dragon or in the ISS, high pressure will get created, and which will cause and other problems, right? The wind will be, the air will be rushing in or out, and that will cause some very bad problems. So yeah, that is not good to have. So here we are for the hatch opening. So no. Yes, I slept, but now we are again with the on hatch opening here. Yep. That's one thing you are right. You are right. Actually, you're right. So here we are. These, as you can see, I can see some views, but not from the Dragon capsule, but just only.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're continuing to equalize the pressure of that last hatch. Behind that hatch is Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley aboard the Crew Dragon spacecraft. We are moments away from opening the hatch and welcoming them aboard the International Space Station.
And that is what we need right now, right? And so till now, what events have happened? So we the Dragon capsule came close to the station, then finally docked, and you can say the mission was till that time successful, because that was a major milestone which they achieved, and you can say the mission was successful. So now what else is left? Only the hatch opening, and then the welcome ceremony which the ISS members will do, and then finally we'll have a hugging ceremony. As you can see, they will hug each other. Yes, they can do it. We can't do it now now on Earth, but they can do it, because We know none of them has that that's why. These true crew members are basically, as you are saying, this is basically the view you are seeing is from the ISS right now. These two crew members, one is Russian and one is the American, which is helping the which is doing all preparation for the crew for the hatch to be opened. And yeah. Yes, Dan, I also want to do that. Once I get some people, if you know some people who can come live onto this channel, I would love to do an interview because I also want the interview to happen in Indians, um, especially in India. The space related thing is so lightly taken. N- when Chandrayaan 2 happened, okay, everyone was in the hype, okay, but then everything just
This is Mission
scattered
Control
off.
Houston. If you're just tuning in, we are standing by for confirmation of the hatch opening
So
between
now
the
just
International
see the
Space
hatch
Station
open and then
and the
we'll
Crew
discuss about
Dragon.
it. And these are the views from both the sides, as you can see clearly. One from the Crew Dragon and one from the, and I think so. We are ready for opening. You can see, as you can see, those two people
There's the hatch to the Crew Dragon.
just peeping out from the windows.
Seeing Doug Hurley through the glass on the other side.
Finally, today is the day when they will arrive. Today is the time. Now is the time when they will arrive officially at the ISS and will enter the ISS for future missions. And so here we are. Oh, there's the Doug,
And there's Bob
the Bob.
Behenken.
There's this Bob who was just giving a high five. This is what the tube which you are seeing is for the pressure equalization with the ISS. This is basically equalizing the pressure. Once the pressure is equalized, hopefully that will be removed.
Still equalizing that pressure between Crew Dragon and International Space Station, just moments away.
Yeah, we are just moments away. Don't worry, everything will be covered. And hopefully, in just 2 or 3 minutes, the pressure will be equalized and we will be able to see the hatch opening and then the final greeting ceremony. So, if we talk about here what is happening here, what are the views here in the ISS, the everything here is organized, right? If you are not organized, especially in ISS, then anything bad can happen. So everything here which you can see is basically number. If you have saw the previous telecast of this, you must have heard they were talking about the cargo as numbered, some 203, 204 inventory, and they also had to give the proper checks so that nothing gets out of the signal. So they were doing like 3 bottles of water bottle consumed. They were just doing that, communicating with the
Dragon
SpaceX
SpaceX
team in
on
the
Big
ground
Loop.
station.
You are go for hatch opening per the decal, followed by the remaining actions in your procedure 4.400.
Okay, so we are go for hatch opening, and finally, so I think this tube will be removed or not, I don't know.
Dragon copies, go for hatch opening and remaining steps in 4.400.
These are basically the procedures which they have to follow, these protocols they have to follow before the hatch opening takes place. That's the main thing here which you are saying. So here we have finally the people getting excited. Are you getting excited? So finally we are there and we are actually seeing the thing which actually matters. All launching, all everything is good, but now finally the result will be there. We will actually be and officially be having the people on board the ISS. That is so good to hear, right? We are only moments away, so this is the view from the inside of the Crew Dragon as well as from the ISS. The left side is Crew Dragon and right side is ISS.
And with that, the hatch is open.
So yeah, we are
12:02 p.m. Central Time,
and the
1:02
hatch
p.m. Eastern.
is opened finally.
Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley opened the hatch to the International Space Station after launching from American soil on a U.S. vehicle for the first time in 9 years.
That's
the
the
first
one
time ever for a commercially built spacecraft.
actually. So we are just waiting for it to open properly. Basically, the hatch is opened. We are just waiting for the official, not the official, just waiting for it to open properly. I think okay. So we are I don't know what they are doing right now. Everything is equalized, pressure is also equalized. Okay, so there must be some procedures which they are following right now. That's why they are just not opening it fully to get out of the Crew Dragon. Let's done then. I think they have to wear something or what? No, not wear. They have to. I I have little information about. So this is also new for me. And that's what you are seeing is the iPad Air.
If you're just tuning in, the hatches are open between Dragon and the International Space Station.
That's the iPad Air which they are operating.
International Space Station Commander Chris Cassidy now talking with Doug Hurley and Bob Behenken aboard the Crew Dragon spacecraft. That hatch opened at 12:02 p.m. Central, 1:02 p.m. Eastern.
And they are doing some final checks. The checklist, yeah, of course, the checklist. They'll confirm it by.
SpaceX Dragon on the big loop. The hatch is open in 5.54.400. How copy?
I copy. Hatch is open. Great to hear. Thanks.
And SpaceX Dragon in 5.9, we're going to exit out of 4.400 and transition to 2.102 Crew Dragon ISS arrival through the hatch opening.
Yep.
I copy. With that, I understand you are complete with 4.400 and will follow along with you as you transition to the ISS procedure.
Everything is so much documented. This is looking so much professional. Obviously, this will be. They are just performing the final checks and configuring the vehicle, the capsule for a hibernation or so. I think so. That's what we call. I don't remember the technical term right now, but they are doing that procedure so that they can just leave it and then this Crew Dragon will be there attached with it for hopefully for next 3 months, and finally we'll then these two astronauts will again board the Crew Dragon and return back to Earth. So guys, if you are just tuning in, subscribe because the hatch is open and I do every live stream of every launch in the space industry. So just subscribe if you don't want to miss any
This
launch
is
in the
Mission
space
Control
industry.
Houston. The crew of Demo 2 just performing a few closeout duties. The hatches are open. They were open 12:02 p.m. Central Time. We're moments away from the Dragon crew aboard Demo 2 to enter the International Space Station. It'll be the first time that Americans will enter the International Space Station on a rocket launched from U.S. soil, built by an American company. The first time ever Americans will enter from a commercially built spacecraft.
Everyone is just waiting for everything to happen. In International Space Station, this is such a common sight where people are just as you can see, the third astronaut which came, he is just leaning with the wall, right? The people flying around, one people coming from up above and one going from below. Is such a common sight on ISS. Obviously, with zero gravity in place, so these things are bound to happen. If you see their bedrooms, you will surprised to see how their bedrooms are made. I won't say the bedrooms, but I would say the bed only because since they don't have any gravity, they just, I think so, strap on to the sleeping area and so that they just don't fly away.
Station Houston on Space Run 2 for Chris. When you're able, we're just looking for a quick voice check on the mic.
So guys, finally, now is the time for everyone or whosoever was waiting for the arrival at the
Station
ISS.
Space Run 2, go ahead.
Chris, we were hoping we could voice check the mic just before starting the PAO event.
Okay, copy that.
NASA's speedball logo with the worm logo because that is what has returned now. That is what has returned now because otherwise you will like
Houston Dragon on the big loop in step 6.1 of 2.102. IMV duct installation is complete. Go for IMV fan activation.
Houston copies, go for IMV fan activation, that's in work.
we are just waiting for them to come out. And finally we'll see them coming out because only some small procedures before leaving the Dragon is left. As you can see, they completed the fourth, fifth, and the sixth milestone is on the place right now, and we'll have the completion.
If you're just tuning in,
Fast.
you're getting a live look.
So he's doing some but we are not getting sounds from ISS. I think now we will be able to know what they are saying.
Station Houston on two things. Chris, we did hear you over the PAO side of things. That was a good voice check. We might ask you for one more. And then for the Dragon crew, you also have a go for 6.3. That's opening the location 23 and checking for debris.
There are so many
Dragon copies
things
6.3 in work.
in place, right? There's so many things which the people have to do, have to accomplish before anything happening.
If you're just tuning in, you're getting a live look. On the left of your screen is a look inside the Crew Dragon on the Demo 2 mission. On the right, the International Space Station. Bob Behenken.
Dragon on the big loop. We are ready for 6.4 and section 4 of the LIO instructions.
And station, we copy. Dragon crew, you are go at 6.4.
You just
In work.
here's the view from the Crew Dragon itself, and what you are seeing right now is the cargo strapped on to the Crew Dragon's base. That is the cargo, and the cargo on which he has placed his hand is the refrigerated cargo. And hopefully he joked also one day that ice cream will also be shipped to ISS in these refrigerated cargo. What these checks are actually what right now is happening, when the hatch will also be closed after that, and then finally we'll switch off the conditions, the environment conditions which the Dragon is offering right now, because we don't need that after that, once these people just get out of the Dragon capsule. And that's what they are doing. They're configuring the Dragon capsule so that everything just goes smoothly.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're getting a live look at the inside of the International Space Station, losing video communication from the International Space Station. It will only be momentary. We'll have those views back to see Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley enter the International Space Station. When they do, it'll be the first time that humans will enter through this hatch for the first time in 9 years.
Oh. So this is the view of the mission control in Houston, and as you can see, people are following the social distancing measures, and the people behind these glasses are basically the public, or the not the public, but people which are not critical for this mission, and they just want to
the procedure from my
see
iPad
this
and hand it in
hatch
to them, so
open.
that's what took a little longer.
Actually, yeah, then
We copy, Chris.
but no, I won't say the surprise treat, but yeah, um, everything is basically monitored. Whatever thing is consumed or taken out of the cargo, or kept in the cargo, is monitored. So you just can't put anything, but still.
Station Houston on 2 for Chris. When convenient, PO requests an additional voice check through the mic.
Guys, if you haven't subscribed till now, just subscribe, because now we are having the hatch opening, and finally the crew will be on ISS. And also, if you want to see every other space launch which happens, then just subscribe, because in this channel you will find that every space launch of various space agencies.
And Chris, we're not hearing you in MCC. We are apparently getting it through to PAO. Just stand by.
So there is probably one hosting in ISS also, as you can see in the left hand side, right hand side, but we can't hear the audio from the ISS yet. Hopefully we'll get that soon. there are so many cameras placed, right? This is such a historic mission. They also want to record that.
Chris, PAO is working. Calm reconfig. I'll call you if we're ready for another check.
Houston and SpaceX Endeavour in 6.5 Lyle cartridges sealed and installed.
SpaceX copies.
Everything is looking good right now, and hopefully will stay for this configuration for some more time. We are just waiting for these to come out of the hatch. And the plummet which you are seeing right now, that dinosaur, that is a zero gravity indicator, but basically that is a toy which they uh, took from their sons, I would say, because they only send both of their son agreed for this toy to be flown to the
It needs to be in
space,
channel 1. A thought here is that it could have been bumped over to 2.
and it was used as a zero gravity indicator. You must be thinking, why do we need a zero gravity indicator? We know that in space there is zero gravity. Actually, this is needed so as to know we are not under any acceleration. There's those sometimes, and if any malfunctions occur, so as to check whether we are in an acceleration or not. With this,
Chris,
we have
we're still not
these
hearing
figures.
the MCC. We're working on it.
Yeah, so any malfunction can trigger the engines also, na, right? So to measure those G forces, if there is any, so not measure, to detect, I would say, there is one zero gravity indicator. So this is the zero gravity indicator which is floating right now, and we expect it to float in zero gravity without any acceleration naturally.
And Chris, nothing in MCC. We see you trying. The word here is that as long as that is in channel 1, any problems past that point are on our end, so we're looking into it. We'll be right back to you. Station Houston, we're ready for another voice check through the mic. Station Houston, we have you loud and clear through the mic. Thank you.
Everything is floating.
Dragon on the big loop in 7.1.
SpaceX here.
Everyone is just waiting, waiting, and waiting.
Okay, and in 7.1, it appears that the ABV inner Bravo is open, as well as the PPRV ISO valve.
I copy that ABV inner Bravo appears to be open, as well as PPRV ISO valve. And
to close if you're good with that call.
Yes, we are good with that call and appreciate the status. Thank you.
Okay, cool. We are Everything is looking good right now.
This is Mission Control Houston. If you're just tuning in, hatches were open at 12:02 p.m. Central Time. We are moments away from Bob Behenken and Doug Hurley entering the International Space Station. Again, this is Mission Control Houston, moments away from Bob and Doug entering the International Space Station. Shortly after they enter, we will conduct a welcome ceremony. There will be VIPs here in Mission Control Houston, Ficker 1.
Looks like they're all closed visually now. We are in 8.3 for both SpaceX and Houston. Dragon arrival configuration is complete.
Okay.
SpaceX copies. All valves appear closed visually now, and arrival configuration complete. Excellent to hear.
Everything is configured, I think so right now. Now we'll
And with that,
finally
Endeavour, welcome to the International Space Station. Please come aboard.
Okay, so now is the final welcome to the space station, and
Never copies, with pleasure. We'll be there in a second.
okay, take your time, no problem. And there we go. We have the ISS. We have the American people into the ISS after
Behenken
9
from
long
SpaceX
years.
Demo 2 mission entering the International Space Station.
Everything is configured right now. Everything looks so
Followed by Doug
good.
Hurley.
People are cheering in the background. And we are getting a loss of signal from the mission control. No problem, but we are having the live view. As you can see, Bob, Behenken and Doug Hurley have finally reached ISS, and we can't hear them right now. Hopefully we'll be able to hear them. So here, as you can see, these people have united successfully, and this is the success for the SpaceX as well as for any private industry who aims to launch astronauts one day. So yeah.
And Station Houston, we see you, and it's a great-looking photograph. So thanks for that. Stand by one. We'll call you when we're ready for the event in the next few seconds. Got a whole bunch of very happy and grateful people making their way into MCC right now.
We need them for lightning. Obviously, we need them to be lightened up. I think he's sweating.
Demo 2 crew now aboard the International Space Station. They entered at 12:22 p.m. Central Time. The station at the time was 262 statute miles over Turkmenistan.
Here we have
Crew all gathered in front of the cameras at the Node 2 forward end of the International Space Station. Just behind them is the hatchway to the Crew Dragon on this Demo 2 mission. We're standing by for a welcome ceremony. We'll have VIPs here in Mission Control Houston ready to greet the crew.
Finally, people are here and they can do whatever they want to do. It is so good to hear and so cool to look at the space. We are actually looking at the space right now. Such a masterpiece of engineering we are looking at. The ISS is basically the most successful and the most complex masterpiece ever built by humans. I would say that. So that is so good to see that thing basically live in front of us during this historic time.
And Station, we're just about ready. Stand by.
We have the
Station, it's
VIPs.
Houston on Space Ground 2. Confirm that you are ready for the event.
Houston, this station, we are ready for the event.
Copy that. And sir, Administrator Bridenstine, welcome to MCC. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is the NASA Administrator. Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, sir. Welcome to the space station.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to see
you.
And
the mic
welcome to Bob and Doug. I will tell you, the whole world saw this mission, and we are so proud of everything you have done for our country, and in fact, to inspire the world.
Actually.
We sure appreciate that, sir. It's obviously been our honor to be just a small part of this. We have to give credit to SpaceX, the Commercial Crew Program, and of course NASA. It's great to get the United States back in the crewed launch business, and we're just really glad to be on board this magnificent complex.
Well, we have some VIPs with us here, and I'm sure they have some questions that they'd like to ask you, but I have one of my own before I turn it over.
This is the gym
and I just wanted to find out if you guys got any sleep on your way up there the last, I'd say, I get 19 hours. Did you guys get any sleep?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks in Hawthorne were asking the same question, sir, but we did get probably a good 7 hours or so opportunity for sleep, and I did succeed at sleep, and Doug did as well. So the first night is always a little bit of a challenge, but the Dragon was a slick vehicle, and we had good airflow, and so we had a excellent evening, and just excited to be back in low Earth orbit again.
It's so good to hear, right?
Amazing. Well, one of the people that is here with us today is Senator Ted Cruz, and of course he's a huge advocate of America's space program, and he's been somebody who has helped us so much as we transition from one administration to the next administration. And the reason missions like this can have success is because of continuity of purpose. And Senator Ted Cruz was a leader on a bill called the NASA Transition Authorization Act. And because of that, we have had a lot of political support, and we're very grateful for his leadership. Senator Cruz, would you like to say a few words?
Obviously.
Well, congratulations, gentlemen. The eyes of the world are upon you, and everyone is proud of you.
Actually.
All of America is watching you, and today and yesterday represent big days. We're looking at a decade since we've had American astronauts launched on an American ship from American soil. And I can tell you, I sat with my wife and kids in our living room watching on TV yesterday, and I suspect we did what just about everyone watching did, including both of you. We just held our breath as it took off. And we're glad to see you've landed safely. We're glad to see you've docked. And so let me ask you, that Dragon is an amazing vehicle. How does she handle?
Actually.
It flew just like it was supposed to. It was we had a couple opportunities to take it out for a spin, so to speak. Once after we got into orbit last night, and again today about 20 minutes before we docked. And my compliments to the folks back at Hawthorne and SpaceX for how well it flew. It is exactly like the simulator, and we couldn't be happier about the performance of the vehicle.
So good to hear.
What do you guys hope to accomplish in your time on the International Space Station?
Well, while we're on board the space station, of course, with the new spacecraft, we do hope to put her through her paces, and so the good ship Endeavour is going to get a lot of checkout over the next week or two here, and hopefully we'll be able to declare her operational, and Doug and I will be able to take some burden off of Chris and his crewmates, Ivan and Anatoly, so that we can keep the space station operating at its peak possibilities. So we're looking forward to contributing any way that we can, and like I said, trying to keep space station as productive as possible.
As a country, we're in the midst of a tough week. We're seeing protests, we're seeing a lot of anger, we're seeing violence. And I have to say, this launch and y'all's docking is a powerful inspiration of what we can do when we come together, of the power of unity, the power of ingenuity, and
the power of
the last
engineering.
question I would ask you is since you have the opportunity to address, in particular, all the young people in America, what would you tell them in terms of what we can do when we can come together?
You know, that's a great question. 9 years ago, just about exactly 9 years ago, we docked with Atlantis on STS-135, the last flight of the Space Shuttle program, a 30-year program. And folks at SpaceX, folks at NASA, the commercial crew program put their heads together and worked diligently year after year, making sacrifices, working hard. And then 9 years later, American launch capability was restored, and this is just one effort that we can show for the ages in this dark time that we've had over the past several months to kind of inspire, especially the young people in the United States, to reach for these lofty goals and work hard and look what you can accomplish.
Thank you, gentlemen. God bless you. Thank you, Senator Cruz. We have another very special guest here that represents the Johnson Space Center. And, of course, it's my good friend from the House of Representatives, Dr. Brian Babin. And I want to be clear, he also was a big part of the NASA Transition Authorization Act,
I want
which
Elon
gave us the
Musk here,
continuity of
but
purpose to make this
won't be having
happen today. So, gentlemen, here is Dr. Brian Babin from the state of Texas.
Thank you. So great to be with you guys. I was at the launch yesterday. I just want to say a huge congratulations. And, you know, there was a thunderstorm that blew in about 30 minutes or 45 minutes or so before liftoff. And it was in doubt there for a minute, but it was just an enormous achievement. I just want to say thank you for you guys. Really appreciate what you're doing for America, and the crew that's already been up there, Chris, and your two fellow Russians. To give you a great big thank you as well. I have a son who was a Navy SEAL, and I want to thank you for your service there too, Chris. And also, I would like to just see what I know you said that the craft, the Dragon, handled very well. I want to see how it compares with the space shuttle. If one of you would address that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. I also want to know that.
Well, thank you, sir. It certainly has been a long endeavor for us and our namesake spacecraft. We're proud to have her on board the International Space Station after all that the teams around the country and across America have done to get us here today. As far as a comparison with the space shuttle, both Doug and I took a few minutes while we were accomplishing the approach and docking to, in our spare time, talk a little bit about it. We were surprised a little bit at how smooth things were off the pad. The space shuttle is a pretty rough ride heading into orbit with the solid rocket boosters. And our expectation was, as we continued with the flight into second stage, that things would basically get a lot smoother than the space shuttle did. But Dragon was huffing and puffing all the way into orbit, and we were definitely driving or riding a Dragon all the way up. And so it was not quite the same ride, the smooth ride, as the space shuttle was up to Miko. A little bit less G's, but a little bit more alive is probably the best way I would describe it. Anything else, Doug?
No? Sounds good.
Bob, what is Miko?
Sorry, I have to apologize for actually using the term MECO. It's a little bit confusing between the space shuttle and the Dragon vehicle. So it's a main engine cutoff is what MECO stands for. Those happened at different times in flight for the two vehicles. For the space shuttle, that was when you were all the way in orbit. For Dragon, that was just a little bit after 2 minutes. And then we had the single engine cutoff for second stage when we achieved orbit. So that time under the single engine under Dragon with one engine was more of an experience than the shuttle was for that 6.5 minutes or so that we were under that second stage motor.
Well, I would just like to say, in fact, Doug, did you have something you wanted to add there? I met your mother and father yesterday, Doug, and great folks. They're very, very proud of their son.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hopefully they enjoyed the launch. I know for parents, it can probably be pretty nerve-wracking for them to experience a launch. This was their third, so I'm glad everything went okay, and hopefully it was a good show. We haven't obviously heard or seen any video yet, but we're looking forward to seeing the launch replayed sometime.
I can assure you that it was a great show. It was one of the treats of my lifetime, I would have to say, and many other folks that were sitting there looking all across the country and even the world. And I can tell you, as Senator Cruz said, we've gone through some really, really rough times over the last few days, and to have that successful launch. The public-private partnership between NASA and SpaceX, and you guys being so well-trained and having it go off without a hitch was a tremendous blessing for our country. And I can't tell you how many emails and communications I've gotten from people that who were so disturbed by what's been going on, transpiring around the country, to have the great news and the wonderful liftoff and everything going without a hitch. So I just want to say God bless both of you. Thank you so very much. Bless the rest of you folks up there as well. We thank our Russian partners. And thank you, Chris. Y'all are all in our prayers, and we're looking forward to seeing you successfully complete your mission and back on safely on Earth. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just so you guys are aware, the show was in fact spectacular. The ratings on NASA TV beat everyone else. Not just some of them, it beat all of them, and that includes, just so everybody is aware, the whole world saw this. It trended #1 on Twitter. It was the #1 thing talked about on social media in general. This was an amazing moment, and it represents a transition in how we do space flight from the United States of America. NASA is not going to purchase, own, and operate rockets and capsules the way we used to. We're going to partner with commercial industry for access to low Earth orbit. And those partnerships are going to enable our providers to get customers that are not NASA and drive down our costs. And we're going to have numerous providers that are competing on cost and innovation and safety. And we're going to have more access to low Earth orbit than ever before. And this business model, now that it's been proven on commercial resupply of the International Space Station, now commercial crew to the International Space Station, this model is going to apply, and I know Senator Cruz has this near and dear to him, when we go to the moon. And of course, when we go to the moon, it's going to be done because of the great people here at the Johnson Space Center and so many other centers across the United States of America. But when we go to the moon, we're going to land on the surface of the moon with commercial landers. And of course, we're very proud of the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Program being managed right here out of the Johnson Space Center as well, so that we can take small payloads to the surface of the moon. And all of this is leading up to an amazing day where we have humans living and working for long periods of time on the surface of the moon, but doing it with a purpose. And that purpose, of course, is to go to Mars. Humanity is going to explore more and be able to go further than ever before because of the public-private partnership.
Actually, when
we
we
all
come
know
together, we
that
achieve
if the
more.
government is creating the demand and the government is creating the supply, we will always be limited. But when we have partners that are interested in exploring commercially and doing the things that are necessary, to get capital investment, then we're all going to end up better. So I want to just say the whole world saw this. This is a new era in human spaceflight, and we are so grateful for the service of not just our 2 astronauts that embarked on this mission, but the 100,000 plus people that participate in it, in this mission, everything from the suppliers to the main contractors, to the NASA team, the SpaceX team. What an amazing day for our country and, in fact, for the world. I'm going to turn it over for a second to my deputy, Jim Morehart, who's been a great deputy at NASA.
Gentlemen, congratulations. You know, Jim's mentioned going to the moon. And yesterday and today, you've inspired the Artemis generation, which is our next generation.
Artemis generation is
and that's what this is about. It's really bringing the children that we've got and our grandchildren forward, so they'll be the ones that are going into deep space. This is the dawn of a new era, and we just thank you for being at the beginning of it. Thank you so much.
It was absolutely our pleasure, but it's just a huge team effort across the board from SpaceX to NASA that made this all happen. We were just the lucky guys that got to fly the rocket yesterday.
Not the lucky guy, but the test
I have a question for Chris Cassidy. Our crew here decided to be about 3 days late. You got to work them overtime, I presume, now to get them caught up on all the activities that they missed out on. Any plans for them?
Well, the day they missed out on was a good one for them to skip. It was Saturday house cleaning, but I took care of it for them. We'll catch up next weekend. But in all seriousness, we've got a few things to take care of tonight. Make sure we're all safe and we know the plan in case something bad happens. And then we're looking forward to some operational stuff later in the month. Maybe we'll get outside and do some spacewalks. And our efforts in these coming weeks will be in that effort. So we're all super excited to have 2 more crewmates to the Expedition 63 team.
Awesome. And of course, here in Houston, this is the home of the astronaut office, and the Johnson Space Center is led by Mark Geyer, and I'm going to turn it over to Mark for a few comments.
Thank you, Jim. Hey, it's great to see all of you there. Good to see you, Bob and Doug. I know we talked a few days ago. You look a little taller than I remember you. And but I also want to thank Anatoly and Iman and of course Chris for what you guys have been doing since you all arrived. And I know there's been a ton to do, and you've been really busy, and I appreciate that. So I also like this visual of our international partnership. We have had a tremendous partnership with Roscosmos, and we will continue to do so. But it is nice to see crew arrive from this side of the space station. So that was pretty cool after 9 years. I did have one question for Chris, though. What might you do to ensure that Bob and Doug stay longer? Do you have any strategy there?
Well, we'll slow down the rate of which I'm eating food, and maybe we can stretch out our consumables a little bit. But that's a great question. We'll have to come up with some conniving scheme here in the next few days.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Look forward to greeting the 3 of you eventually back in Ellington after your work is complete. Thank you.
And of course, Mark Geyer has an amazing deputy, Vanessa Weiss, if you'd like to come and say a few words.
Thank you, Jim. Hi, guys. You look really good. I just want to say on behalf of everybody here, we just want to thank you. It was an amazing launch, and we love seeing the docking You guys all look really good. Just thank you for all that you're doing, and we can't wait for you to return, but not too soon. Station wants you to get a lot of work done, so looking forward to all of that. But thank you. And God bless.
Thank you, Vanessa. We appreciate that.
All right, we also have with us Steve Jerzik, who is the Associate Administrator for the agency. For people who don't know what that is, that, of course, is the Chief Operating Officer of the agency. But he also ran the flight readiness review for this mission. He did really an amazing job, and I can't say enough about his leadership at the agency. Steve, if you'd like to say a few words, ask a few questions.
Hey guys, it is just great to see you all on the station. I can't tell you how my adrenaline shut down when you guys opened the hatch. I mean, I've just been on edge ever since yesterday, and the weather cleared. I can't tell you how great it's been to see you on station. It has been a team effort. I felt like the last 2 years I've kind of been part of the team, working through issues, and it's been a heck of a year and a half with Demo 1. And the in-flight abort test, and working through issues like parachutes and the escape system, and I just could not be more proud of the team for getting to this point. It's amazing, and you obviously been part of that. I really appreciate you all showing up in Washington D.C. at our reviews, and because the last thing we do at those reviews is look at you all, because you guys are the risk takers, and make sure you're okay with where we are and where we're headed. So I really, really appreciate that. I really appreciate your active participation in that. And I could not be more, like I said, more proud of the team. And congratulations. And it is awesome to see you guys on station.
Well, thank you, sir. We're just proud to be a part of the team that got to bring spaceflight back to the Florida coast. I appreciated the comment earlier that it was nice to see a vehicle come to the forward portion of the space station, but I'll tell you what, that's the only way Doug and I know how to do it. So thanks to the team for providing it to happen our way. We appreciate that.
Well, Bob and Doug, just so you're aware, I'm being given the wrap signal. Doug, did you have something to say before we wrap it up here?
Oh, no, sir. We're just happy to be here, and Chris is going to put us to work, and hopefully we will fit in and not mess too many things up.
I have no doubt that you guys are going to do amazing work. I just want you to know the president came to the launch, and the vice president came to the launch. About half the cabinet was at the launch. We had members of Congress and members of the Senate from both sides of the aisle, and this was an amazing moment of unity for the nation. It was an amazing moment for the whole world to look up. In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic and some other challenges, we were able to have this very, very special moment where we could all look at the future and say that things are going to be brighter tomorrow than they are today. And you and the NASA team and the SpaceX team gave us that opportunity, and for that we are so, so grateful. I would also be remiss as the NASA administrator if I didn't promote what comes next. And of course, this is the beginning. We are now launching to low Earth orbit again, but we will soon be going to the moon. We will be going to the moon sustainably with commercial partners and international partners. We're going to use the resources of the moon to learn how to live and work for long periods of time. Ultimately, we're going to take all of that knowledge and we're going to go to Mars. And of course, this time when we go to the moon, we go with a very diverse, highly qualified astronaut corps that includes women, which is why we call the program Artemis, named after the twin sister of Apollo, and she, in Greek mythology, was the goddess of the moon. This is the beginning. There is so much more to come, and I'm glad that our representatives of the Johnson Space Center are here because we're going to be asking them to fund this project. And what an amazing day that you guys have given us. So thank you from not just me and the people here, but from the United States of America and people all around the world. I'm more popular on Twitter than I've ever been, and it's because of you guys. Thank you.
the crew on the International
Thank you to all
Space
of you.
Station.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Chris, we ask that you just hold your position for a few minutes. There's, of course, a number of photos we'd like to take. And then a quick note for those down here in the room. To Senator Cruz, Congressman Babin, Administrator Bridenstine, Director Geyer, and all of our distinguished visitors, thank you for your participation in today's historic event, and thank you for the leadership that has enabled it.
So now the VIPs are basically leaving after addressing the cruise, and hopefully we'll have a photo session also before leaving. Yeah, of course. So this is what he's holding basically is the badge of this mission. The commercial, the SpaceX and the NASA. This mission, every space mission has its own unique badge, and this is one of them. So the thing which they are holding is the badge of this mission. And this thing, if you have seen it carefully, was printed on the shirts of the crew also. So this is a good photograph. Oh, he's with the baseball bat. That's so cool to see, right? I don't know why he had the baseball bat with him, but cool. That was so cool.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event as we count down to 20 continuous years of humans living and working on the International Space Station.
So they are basically holding their positions right now. For the photograph must be taken by the ground station right now. And when they'll have the order to, hopefully now, to leave, then they'll disperse and this will conclude basically the launch all with the way to the ISS. Guys, if you have any questions, just you can write in the chat and I'll answer that right now.
That concludes our coverage of the SpaceX Demo 2 mission in conjunction with NASA. On behalf of all the teams that participated in this mission, from Hawthorne to Houston to Mission Control to the Kennedy Space Center, this is Mission Control Houston.
Okay, we were actually getting some audio from the... okay, so yeah. Now we are concluded with the live stream, as you can see. So yeah, we are all go. So guys, this was a live stream which I was waiting for so much long, and finally we were able to get see all these things so properly, so greatly, and I'm so glad this was done by SpaceX itself, guys. And okay, if I conclude this mission, first of all, on May 30th, on May 27th, let's just start from there. May 27th, everything was done. People, these two astronauts, the Bob and got into the Dragon capsule, but we had a weather violation at that time and we didn't lift off. On May 30th, we got away from the shooting room into the Teslas, but before getting into the Tesla, we had a virtual hug with the families. Then they went to the launch pad 39A. They used the elevators to just go up to the rocket and then use the crew access arm in the white room. That was the last place on the planet Earth before they get into the Dragon capsule. They signed they have signed one thing. We don't know properly about that information, but yeah, they signed that thing and then they just went inside the Dragon capsule. And then finally the flight technician just buckled them up in the seats, and finally seats rotated, the hatch or the door was closed, sealed, and then we were just waiting for the liftoff to happen. But before the liftoff, 35 or 45 minutes before, we had a great thunderstorm. But fortunately, that cleared up, and then finally we had a liftoff. We saw magnificent footage of all those rockets engines just burning up all the fuels, and they were having such a good ride to the orbit. And finally the second stage delivered them into a correct orbit. And then they had a 19 hours burn to the International Space Station, where they used the phasing burn, the inbuilt Draco thrusters they used to align its orbit with the with that of International Space Station. And around 8 p.m., around not 8 p.m., around 10 for 30 a.m., they docked with the space station, cancelling all its relative velocity and all other things. And then we saw the hatch opening and the crew arriving at the space station. Yeah, that was a bit delayed. I won't say the delayed, but they were performing all the checks and all. But yeah, that we saw all that happen, and finally we had the words from the VIPs itself, which concluded this mission. And I'm so much happy this is completed. But still, a major part of not the major part, but still a second phase, I would say the second phase of this mission is still left, and that is the re-entry of the capsule of the Dragon, which will again happen after some time. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now to I'll live stream that. And yeah, let's conclude the missions. If you have any questions in mind, then just type in. I'll answer all of those questions. So yeah, Dan, if you are watching, um, yeah, I would like to interview someone from the space community of India. I am trying to reach out to them, but due to the COVID-19, we are unable to process their request. They are unable to process our request. So if you know someone, that would be very better. It would be very good, and we'll be able to get in touch with them then, because I would love to interview someone from space industry. I have so many questions in mind, and I would like to ask them and share that knowledge with you all. It would be so cool to have. Okay, so basically, okay, no problem. So that concludes our live stream here, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next live stream, which will probably happen for the Falcon 9 Starlink 7 mission. I'll be there with you, and we'll have a proper view of the same. So stay safe, stay healthy, and